Hello, everyone. My name is Bob Glowacky, executive producer here at Exeter TV and board member for the New Hampshire Coalition for Community Media. Today, I'm joined by U.S. Senator Jeanne Shaheen to learn more about the efforts from the Capitol to help the nation during the ongoing COVID-19 outbreak. Senator, thank you for joining us.
It's nice to be with you, Bob. You know, this is a very challenging time. I think probably the most in my lifetime. It reminds me of talking to my parents and grandparents about the Depression in the 30s and World War II and the challenges that faced the country then. And I think this is an equal challenge, and it's one that we're really all in together. And we know that a lot of people are really suffering right now. They've been laid off from their jobs. They may be fighting the disease itself, have a family member with COVID-19, or may have been ill themselves. And we need to do everything we can to try and ensure that people can get some help in this difficult time. And so that's what the relief package that we passed in Congress a little over a week ago was all about. We need to now try and get those dollars out just as quickly as possible so they can help people who really need the help as bills are coming due, as people are trying to get their groceries on the table. That's the challenge at this point.
Yep, so could you talk more about some of the specific provisions in the CARES Act that I'm sure as many Granite Staters in Exeter and across the state are, wondering, how is this going to help me? What is in the act that is going to help Granite Staters?
Well, there are three programs that are designed to help individual workers. First is unemployment compensation. We expanded unemployment, added an additional 13 weeks so that people in New Hampshire are now eligible for 39 weeks of unemployment. And for the first 4 months of that unemployment, they will get an extra $600 a week. So it's an effort to try and help people get through the next several months as we're dealing with getting the economy back up and running and helping families. The second program is one that I'm sure people have heard a lot about on nightly news, and that's the rebate program through the IRS. People are going to get up to $1,200 if they make $75,000 or less. There's a sliding scale above that, and people also get $500 per child. So those are direct payments. If you have paid your taxes and you get a refund through your account, then those checks will be deposited directly into your account. If you get your refund in the mail, you'll get that check in the mail. And the Secretary of the Treasury has said that those checks are going to start going out the week of April 13th. So next week. That's good news. It can't come too soon. Then the third provision is something called the Paycheck Protection Program. It's an effort to help small businesses. And we know in New Hampshire that our small businesses are the lifeblood of this state. We have over half of the population in New Hampshire works for a small business. And it's designed to help those small businesses with 500 or fewer employees, and also nonprofits, so 501c3s, so that they can continue to pay their workers and rehire them at the end. And people can get loans through their banks if they continue to keep their workers employed, or if they've already laid them off and they hire them back at the end of the pandemic, then those loans are forgiven. So that's an effort to try and keep our small businesses afloat and make sure they can start up again. So those are the three major individual proposals that are in this package to help people. There's also a fund that New Hampshire is going to get $1.25 billion for the state to help it deal with responses to the coronavirus. And then there are lots of efforts that help people at this time when things are really challenging. So for example, low-income heating assistance. There's additional funding in that LIHEAP, it's called, program to help people who need help with heating assistance. And since people are home a lot more than they would be normally at this time of the year, people need that help to keep their houses warm. There's also help for communities and community development block grants. So those dollars can go to help in a variety of ways as communities are dealing with this crisis. And finally, there's significant help for hospitals, for community health centers, for nursing homes. And we need to make sure that those dollars get out very quickly, because we know our hospitals are really challenged right now.
Are there any specific websites or online resources and places you want to push people to find out more information about these resources and what's available to them?
Well, if you're looking for a general resource page, you can go to our website. It's shaheen.senate.gov, and there's a link on that web page that will take you to a resource page that can link you up to the unemployment program, to the Paycheck Protection Program for small businesses, to more information on the IRS website about rebates, and a number of other programs that can help people with domestic violence, for example. We know that when economic times are difficult like this, that the instances of domestic violence go up. So that resource page will hopefully connect people to a number of other resources that are available. If you want more information from the Small Business Administration, which is administering the Paycheck Protection Program, you can go to sba.gov, G-O-V, so sba.gov, and that will link you to a number of other pages that can give you more information.
Great, thank you. Was there any other provisions or information about what's going on in DC or at the state level that you're wishing to get out to the public?
Well, I think what's really important, and the public is paying a lot of attention, and I think that's very good news, is to follow the guidelines from the Centers for Disease Control, to follow the guidelines that the state of New Hampshire has set, the governor's stay-at-home order, to try and encourage people not to go out, to keep your distance. It's one of the things that we know makes a difference as we're trying to deal with this disease. Making sure that we can get personal protective equipment. It's one of the biggest challenges we've had, one of the biggest frustrations that I've had, and I know that's shared by the governor, by local officials, by medical workers, that they can't get the equipment that they need to stay safe. And there have been a lot of efforts to get that protective equipment into New Hampshire, and hopefully we will have more success as the days go by. One of the things that I think is encouraging is seeing how Granite Staters have pulled together. Some of the good news, positive stories of people helping people, the private companies that have gotten involved in making personal protective equipment. There's a company in Exeter called Bauer, which you may have heard about, that makes hockey equipment, and now they're making face shields for medical workers. So we have a number of stories like that of people stepping up to try and help out in this crisis, and that's really encouraging.
Well, unless you have anything else to add, I'd like to, thank you for taking the time out to kind of explain some of what is inside of the CARES Act, and pointing us to a little bit more resources. And do you have any other final message to Granite Staters who are, sitting at home right now, and maybe they're watching the news too much and just, wondering, what do I do right now?
Well, one thing about the Paycheck Protection Program, I know there are a lot of businesses who are taking advantage of that or trying to. This is a huge program. It's being done for the first time. There are problems with it. We're going to continue to work on those problems to push the Small Business Administration to fix what are challenges that people are running into. But I would encourage people not to get discouraged. Keep at it. We need to make sure that banks and other credit unions and other financial institutions have the guidance they need from the Department of Treasury, from the Small Business Administration, so they can participate and get the help that people need. The most important thing we can do right now is to ensure that people can get help so we can get through this period, and hopefully people will have jobs to go back to once we are past dealing with this disease.
All right. You heard it. That was U.S. Senator Jeanne Shaheen joining us virtually here on Exeter TV. Once again, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks, Bob.